live on YouTube right now, and I've got a special guest here that's joining us. How are you doing today, Jake?
I'm great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. So, the topic today, everybody, is about family breakdown and the costliness and the results of family breakdown. What do you think, man?
I'm finding it's more and more true, dude. It's like whenever you start, there's been studies done. You start looking at like prison populations and people in like rehab clinics and things like this, and time again, you're talking about people from a broken home, people
Yeah,
who are subject to child abuse, neglect, things of this nature. Those have long-standing problems. I mean, you can't you raise adults. They don't just kind of appear. You raise them, and so for them to be raised correctly, you really need to have a good, strong family unit.
exactly. And so go back to that story you were talking about the coach and at the mall.
Yeah. So I live near Syracuse, New York, and at Syracuse, New York, they have this big mall. It's called the Destiny USA. And so it used to be like all other cities, you have a lot of malls closing. So young people they go somewhere. So as the malls close, they end up at Destiny USA. Well, once upon a time, they didn't go to Destiny USA just because it's kind of out of the way. It's not really a walking distance or anything like this. But now they go there because well, there it is. So the coach of Syracuse University basketball, his name is Jim Boeheim. His wife's name is Julie. So one day she was sitting at the mall. She was just sitting, because of COVID protocols, she was sitting in a spot waiting for an order from the Cheesecake Factory there. And
Yeah,
she got carjacked. And you got to think, Julie Boeheim, Jim Boeheim makes a pretty good living. She has a nice car. And she's like sitting somewhere, but that's a reasonably high traffic area. But nevertheless, somebody decided to take advantage of this. And this is kind of a recurring problem with this mall. You have people like, I know when I was there, I had my Toyota Sienna. Somebody removed one of the rearview mirrors. You know, they just went up there and kind of popped it off. And I went around looking at the parking spots I was at. There was another van. You could see the tool marks where they're trying to remove the mirror, but they were like right in front of the entryway, so they couldn't do it for very long. And
yeah,
you have the security guards show up, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't help you. I'll fill out a report that you can submit to the Syracuse Police Department, and you can file a police report and make a settlement with your insurance."
mm-hmm,
And it's like, and but things like this kept on happening. You started having these kids show up, and they're getting into fights. They're firing off guns. Somebody walks. Somebody has their purse. They set it beside them. Somebody comes up and snatches it. There's all these things happening, and eventually what happened was now they have a police substation in the mall.
no, that's
So
horrible. You've got to have
it's
a
come,
police substation in the mall.
yeah, and you have policemen. Their presence is well known, and they also now have a policy: if it's after a certain hour and you're not escorted by an adult, you're below like the age of 18, you can't be there. They will go up and have no problem telling you to leave. Because like used to be, they had like these rent a cops. I still remember one time I was over at the Indian, the eyebrow threading place, and I'm walking out with my daughter, and these three guys just they did a snatch and grab over at Claire's. Like literally they're busting out. They're knocking things over. And there's two security guards sitting there. One is a little girl. She's got to be 5'3". She can't be more than 95 pounds soaking wet. And what are they doing? They can't do anything. I mean, that girl's uniform don't even fit her. It's like, what's the security guard supposed to do? They report and they observe and report.
That's it.
But they don't keep crime from happening, and that's why they needed that police substation there, because eventually Destiny USA started getting a very poor reputation for crime, and eventually that came back to get them because people weren't spending money there. Their tenants aren't making money. How are they going to pay the rent? Things of this nature. But what I find most interesting is after a certain time, if these kids are not escorted by adults, they're going to be asked to leave. And that kind of goes back to this idea that all right, it's almost like they're saying, look, if you're not from a family where your parent is available to escort you in, we don't want you here after a certain hour. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
Am I? You tell me. Am I reading this correctly?
I think so. And the age is 18.
I believe it's
And
18. Yep.
what is the time that they
I
want?
think it's. I think it's like 7 o'clock, 6 or 7 o'clock.
So basically, they're playing mom and dad. Basically, like you need to go home. It's time for you to go home and get ready to go to bed.
Exactly. And used to be they had like basically mall employees telling them to do this, the rent-a-cops, and now they've got like a police substation in the mall.
So now
And
the police substation has become the father.
exactly. Now I don't doubt. I don't think that that it's actually police. I believe the mall is paying the police to work their overtime. I think is
Yeah,
what's going on. So I don't believe it's. I'm not. I'm not saying that they're spending tax dollars on protecting a mall. That might not. Most people might not see that as a good use. I believe the mall is paying for it, but the mall has undergone a really large expansion. They're over leveraged with debt. I mean, you can look it up. I mean, they have lots of tenants that are simply walking away saying, look, you had guaranteed this much foot traffic to us, and that's not happening. And this all goes back to the fact they are not keeping the mall safe. Because, the reason they're losing foot traffic is because people aren't going there because it's unsafe. So, and like I said, the answer that they put in place is you have to be a child that has good parents who are available who will bring you into the mall.
yeah, because they have money to spend.
That's part of it. I don't doubt this. Uh, at the same time, though, think about this for a minute. So let's say, for example, you're you know you're a single parent and your parent works at night. You can't be there because your parent's not going to be able to escort you. You see what I mean?
Yeah, the
So I mean,
children are disadvantaged, dude.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, and I know lots of people they're raised in single parent households, but you start seeing how do they make it in single parent households, and well, it's pretty simple. They have grandparents, they have uncles, they have aunts, they have cousins, they have close friends.
Extended family.
Exactly. So you still have a very intact family unit. I mean, I'll be honest. I came from a single family home, a single parent home. Who did I have? I had my stepfather. My stepfather a little bit detached because I was older at the time, but he was still there. He was still helpful. I mean, I was the youngest of five, so I had four older siblings to lead me around. I had my aunts. I had people around me to kind of keep me on the straight and narrow. But there's kids, they don't have this, and it's kind of sad because you see kids, you're thinking if they just had that stability, because sometimes, you have parents, they're working straight nights, so they're struggling to get the kids to bed before they leave, and then they wake up in the morning. Hopefully they can make breakfast. A lot of times maybe they can't. You're talking about cereal or something like that. And then during the day, you have them saying, "Hey, I need to talk to your mom," and mom is not up at this time, or mom is working at this time. And if mom takes the time off to come to school, and then this just leads to more issues. So it's I think sometimes it's not just single parent homes. I'm afraid maybe I'm being unfair about this. I think also you have two parent homes, and they have children just because they're like, yeah, that seems to be the place in life I'm at. I always say they treat their children like furniture. You know, they need them. They kind of sit on them. They lay on them, watch the television, and then when they're done, they get up and they walk away, and they expect that piece of furniture to stay there. And children aren't like this.
Yeah, a lot of those kids end up being latchkey kids.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways it's exasperated now because you have to have two parents working.
Oh yeah,
I
that
mean,
the cost of living just it's attacking the nuclear family.
exactly. Like, for example, okay, I'm an engineer and I'm well compensated. At the same time, though, I get really bad insurance. My insurance just sucks. My wife works for the school district. She gets really good insurance, but her work is 40 minutes away. So you have to compensate for this. My wife and our children, they're out. They went to the mall, like I said. That's what I was talking about. That's why the mall